Well, I know it's a great story, and that's why I really want to share it. But anyways, greetings, red tie community. It's the bald guy in the red tie, John Butler, your favorite red tie wearing host with no hair, and I don't care because I'm brave like that, Mr. Rob. I am.
Yes, you are.
I'm follically brave. I am.
And follically challenged, but yes.
Follically challenged.
We'll go with brave.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a very special guest in the studio today. We have Mr. Rob Gutierrez. That's a good name. I like Robbie G. I call him Robbie G. I think you should call yourself Robbie G.
Robbie G was my high school name.
Yeah?
All through high school. Gutierrez was just too long, so most of my friends just called me, hey, Robbie G.
Robbie G.
What's up, G?
Sounds like a good restaurant or something like the Hot Spot.
Ironically, that was one of my dreams of actually owning a restaurant someday.
Really?
And that was going to be the name, is Robbie G's Bar and Grill.
Man. I think you missed your calling.
Yeah,
I bet you could cook it up, huh?
I can cook. I can cook. Yeah, you know you're doing good when you can smoke a good tri-tip on a Weber. I mean, Weber's a great grill, but it's not a true smoker. But when you can cook a tri-tip on a Weber and have it come out tasting phenomenal, you do all right.
Anything beyond a microwave is beyond my my chef abilities.
Yeah, let's try to throw some wood chunks in there and see what happens, and we get a little smoky.
I heard if you put foil into the microwave, it cooks faster.
Very, very fast.
Very fast.
Yes.
Very fast.
Yeah.
And fast. It's fiery fast.
Fiery fast.
That's how it happens.
Get that little char effect on your food.
A little taste. Well, we're not actually talking about food today. We're going to be talking about Robbie G, Mr. Rob Gutierrez of Shield Mechanical. And here's the thing. I've been doing real estate for 10 years now, and I've crossed paths with a lot of handyman, contractor people that, you know, when you're in the middle of escrow and you need to rely on somebody to get the job done, because sometimes, you know, after a buyer does a home inspection, things come up. And it's always good to have a trusted person in your corner that can get into the house quickly, get the things fixed, even if it's little random things, or sometimes it's reconstructing a whole cabinet, which we'll get into that story in just a moment. But over the past decade, I've really had a challenge securing somebody that could get in there, be dependable, be honest, and not try to gouge my clients and stuff like that. And so when I came across Mr. Rob Gutierrez, and we had our first interaction, and it was flawless. And I saw that you went above and beyond for my client and for myself, and you genuinely cared to get the job done correctly. Man, I cannot tell you how much of a relief that was.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I mean, so let's kind of go into your backstory here. How did you get into this whole being a contractor?
Well, being a contractor, I guess I like working with my hands. And I can go back as far as my family. They were in the restaurant business. They were the food industry, and did restaurant business for a lot of years, wholesaling and retail, deli type situations. And I worked for my family, and I was going to actually junior college for hospitality. And my dad just wouldn't want to listen to what I was learning in school, how to price, how to do this, how to manage the restaurant, and me being the teenager still that just knew it all.
Of course you did.
I realized, you know what, Dad? No, this is not how you do it. So one day while working in the deli, a gentleman walks into the place and he's looked at me and says, "Hey, fellow sheet metal worker." And I'm like going, "Are you offering me a job?" And he's like, "Well, you're going no place. You're going nowhere in this place." You know, it says, "Unless you own it." And I looked at him. I says, "Well, my parents do." And he was very surprised. Just to let you know that I was actually raised by my mom and my stepdad. And my stepdad kind of resembles a older John Butler with a little more hair, not much more, but he's just a white gentleman. My mom is whiter than white, Snow White. So when he found out that those were my parents, he's just like, okay. So anyway, let's fast forward. I did the residential scene for a long time and did some very expensive multi-million-dollar homes. That's what I advanced to, and then moved straight into, from there, about 4 years later, into doing hospitals and a lot of military work and stuff. My drive to do better and improve was always there, to work harder, better, and just be better than what the next guy is going to be. And with that, it always led to another position, another company. Back then, the industry was a lot smaller. And I'd get calls from other companies. Hey, we hear you're working for such and such. Will you come to work for us? And it depended on the company because I had integrity to the companies that I was working for. But if it was slow, I was going to be let go. Or if it was, sometimes money will still talk.
Yeah.
And, but yeah, that's just basically all my advancements were my name getting out there. And so after this for so many years, working with other companies, great companies, a couple of bad ones, but I learned a lot from a lot of good people in the industry, teach me what to do and what not to do from those bad companies. But anyway, with my recent departure of the last company that I was with, I decided that, you know what, it's time for me to do this on my own. It's time for me just to jump on the horse and ride.
Time for you to walk on water, huh? Get out of the boat and walk on water. See if you do this self-employed thing.
Yep, yeah. And it's kind of funny you say walk on water because I don't know how many times I had people tell me, Rob, if you really want to be on your own, you just got to get out of the boat. Yeah. And that was the phrase I heard more than anything is you got to step out of the boat.
Yeah.
So, and, the last company I was at, they did end up discontinuing my position. And so I guess I was pushed out of the boat.
Get out. The ride's over. Yeah.
But good people there. And it turned out for the best. So cool. And I'm enjoying it so far. I get to work with people like you, and
so we've been together for a couple years now, as far as you being one of my trusted people in my corner. But it didn't start off that way. I'm not sure if you remember our very first meeting. Obviously, we kind of met, or our paths crossed at Cross Point, which is a good name for that. That's the local church that we go to here in Temecula. And so that's kind of how we kind of knew of each other. And then I'm kind of the go-to real estate agent in that place, the church there. And so I think when you guys were ready to buy a house, I said, come on, let's meet with Mr. Chris Wiggins, who we just interviewed yesterday on the show. And you came to the office, and I remember you sitting down at the table, and you had the arms crossed, all right, you fancy salesman, what are you going to tell me kind of thing. Because I think you had a bad experience with the previous real estate transaction or something like that.
I had a very bad transaction.
Yeah. And so you had this kind of like wall going on. So I was like, whoa, all right, we're going to navigate this. And then I think the first time we went out looking at houses, then from then on, we've been buddy. So.
Yeah. No, it was, I won't go into details on that, but sure. I had an agent who did not have full disclosure on the dual agency thing and was trying to get a lot more money than than we agreed upon, basically, sure. And how that was going to work. And then once I found out, he actually refunded a lot of money, realizing that he had lied to me, and to keep from any backlash on him, he made it right. So
he threw money at you and made you go away.
He threw money, So yeah, but we let bygones be bygones, But but I met you that day, and I can remember sitting there like this. Okay, now what am I going to hear from this guy? But yeah, ever since then, it's been a more than a pleasure knowing you, for sure.
It's been fun, and so kind of the story I wanted to jump into that you just really there's been a lot of little things that you've done for me over the past couple of years, but there was this one a few months ago. The seller was a young guy. He was in just a tough situation of life, and he basically signed the listing agreement, and then the very next day just took off and said, okay, deal with the house. And the house was trashed, like bad, like had a layer of grime and filth all over it. There was cabinets completely removed from the kitchen. And then there was also cabinets in the hallway that were completely gone. And then, of course, I tell him, well, the fair market value for your house is like $330. And he's like, well, I don't want to lose any money on it, so can you sell it for $350? I'm like, oh, it's going to be one of these. And sure enough, through your finesse and magical work, and also major kudos to your better half, Melissa. You guys are the dynamic duo. But she's came awesome. In there. Phenomenal. I love the way that you guys operate. It's so cool. But you guys came in there, and I don't know what she does. She does she's the brains of the operation. You're the brawn. Is that the right way? Or you guys, you're both smart, but she's a sharp cookie. She knows the stuff.
She's the only woman that I know that can actually walk into a room one time and look around and leave there, and on the way back say, we need this, we need this, we need this, we need this, and it's going to look like this because the carpet color was this, the wall color was that, and the ceilings were, I'm like, how do you remember this?
Yeah.
But to a T, and you walk in there, and it's just phenomenal. It's definitely a gift from God for her.
Yeah.
Definitely a gift.
I mean, you guys as a duo is phenomenal. And so what you did on this property for me, because it was one of those situations where, the seller just totally checked out, like didn't want to pay for anything or whatever. And so I needed some grace, hey, can I pay you at the close of escrow, that kind of thing.
Absolutely.
And you guys totally took care of me there. And you got it all done. But I remember you staying till like 7 or 8 o'clock at night, getting the job done. And I think if you average out your hourly wage on this one, it was probably a charitable thing for me. So thank you very much for that.
Well, I know if I worked for me, I would have fired me for that. But yeah.
But I think that goes back to your integrity, though. You knew the situation and you went above and beyond. And when you have somebody go above and beyond for you, because nowadays everybody's trying to capitalize on everybody and stuff like that. But when somebody's like genuinely just wants to help and do the right thing and go above and beyond, man, you cannot. I can't explain enough how much that meant to me. So you rocked it, dude.
Well, I know that you refer me to other people. They will, use me for work, and I'll give them the same kind of treatment, and it'll just spread, and that's what building business is about, relationships and integrity.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And if you can't have relationship integrity and be as transparent as possible, I feel people have to try and sleep with themselves at night.
Well, I think you sleep just fine because you're a good man. And speaking of relationships and other clients, we have a nice little video prepared for you. I'm not sure if you've seen this yet.
I have not.
You have not. So
have
this
not.
is going to be your first moment seeing it. So Tyler Tech's going to cue this up. And Mr. Billy the Kid,
Yeah,
Billy Tate, our special film crew specialist, went out there and caught you in action with the Hilkema family. They were in need of, what is it, a whole new AC unit or something like that? Or
yeah, they had a propane furnace with a very, very outdated air conditioning unit. Okay. And Mark was realizing that he was going through hundreds of dollars every couple months in propane in the wintertime, and he needed something a little more efficient. So we went with a 16-SEER heat pump, which runs totally on electricity for heating and cooling. So his propane is completely wiped out.
Nice.
So he has no more.
Doesn't have to fill it up anymore and go through all that hassle.
Not for furnaces, nope. And nice. His tanks will probably last him over a year now.
Well, as we're about to see in this video, it looks like it was not an easy job.
No, it was not an easy job.
Let's check this out.
I'm Rob Gutierrez. I am the owner of Shield Mechanical. We do heating and air conditioning. We will do some general construction, but the forte of what we do is heating and air conditioning.
And it comes swift in the nick of time, like a wild light. And it turns the tables like a rhythm, like a fury might, leaving nothing unseen. And you ask it why it came, it says you spoke me here. I am your corners uncovered, I am. And it pulls the blinders from your sleeping, casts you inside it goes. Here we are ancient, a wind that carries the rough sea, and we are young and foolish, a reckless whim.
So what'd you think of that?
That was pretty cool. I'm not sure if you noticed in that video, as we're taking the boxes off of the equipment.
Yeah.
Well, the Hilkema kids thought it'd be cool to have those as forts.
Yeah.
And a couple are quite sizable. And typically when we take those apart, we rip off the top, we rip off the sides. It's just easier to unpack it that way for us. But because the kids had mentioned that they wanted to build forts out of these things, we were very, very cautious on how we disconnected the bottom part of the box so that we could slide the whole thing off in one piece.
That's so cool.
And those forts are sitting out there to this day.
In the rain.
Well, and that's another thing. Shield Mechanical went above and beyond. When he saw the rain coming in, I went in and make sure they were under the porch cover.
That is so cool.
Yep.
And that's precisely what I'm talking about. It's like you're not just focused in on the job, but everything that's surrounding the job. And, oftentimes contractors just come in and they just want to do their job and get in and get out kind of thing. But you took the time to enlarge in these kids' imaginations. How fun is that? And they're going to always remember that. And that's just little things like that on that personal human level. And that's gold. That's so cool, man.
Yeah, it's fun to go over there still. I mean, I think a little bit of that, and just seeing them when I come up to the door, like I do have one more little itty bitty thing to do there. And when I come back over there, but it's just fun watching the kids. It's the AC guy, the AC, like excited to see me. Like Grandpa just walked up to the door or something.
The Hilkema kids are fantastic. They are adorable. I actually helped the Hilkemas get a house, about 2 years ago. And at the time, I had the Ball Guy Red Tie action figures, dolls, action figures. I'll call them action figures. And so every time they see me, they're like, it's the doll guy. I'm like, action figure. They're like, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, that kind of thing. So,
Sure.
But good times and just a great family. And again, it goes back to the relationships, and that's what the show is about, is the community, the Red Tie community. And it's just so cool to bring everybody on here and share their stories, man.
This is nice. Definitely nice.
It's a lot of fun. So where do you see 2018 going for Shield Mechanical?
Well, hopefully I get more of the referrals of changing, AC systems, like I did for Mark. Anybody who is on propane, that would be a great way to go to save them money, especially if you go the 16-SEER system, because it runs at various speeds or 2 different speeds to save money cost-wise. So those types of things, change outs. I mean, Temecula homes, a lot of them were built 80s, 90s, and so they're ready to be replaced. 15 years ago, a AC system had a minimum SEER requirement of 10 SEER. So a lot of 10 SEER, and that's the energy rating that they use for AC equipment, for those of you who have never heard of a SEER. But it was 10 back just not even 15 years ago, and some like 10 years ago. But up in recent years, it's been increased to where the minimum now is 14.
Oh, wow.
So that's a 40% increase in cost savings is basically what it boils down to, that people can save.
Wow.
Furnaces right now, I mean, if you do have a propane furnace, you want to stick with propane, install a 97% efficient furnace. They are a little more money up front, but for every $1 you pay for your propane, you get 97 cents worth of value because it's 97% efficient furnace.
Wow.
So, I mean, that's kind of what I'm hoping is more of that kind of thing, that people realize the savings and what they have, and just be able to service people and take care of people.
Yeah, and I think that is your core, the core of your character and the core of your heart is taking care of people.
Yeah.
But if you didn't catch that, he nailed it on the head. Most of Temecula Murrieta was built in the 80s and 90s and, a lot in the 2000s, but that was a big boom in the late 80s and early 90s kind of thing. And so if you are in one of those homes, which I myself am in, sometimes you got to go, are we losing money here? Because it's like, I don't want to spend any money. But then it's like, well, how much are you really losing anyways?
Right.
So I think you have a great deal going on. And so if you want to get a hold of Rob, make sure you tackle his number there at the bottom when it goes back to his screen name there. But not only are you a fantastic contractor and an above and beyond kind of guy, but you're also a great family man. And so we're going to pull up a couple pictures here. Let's go old school first. Let's see this strapping young lad. Look at that.
Woohoo.
So what year is that? That's got to be high school?
That is definitely high school. I want to say that might actually be my senior year. Actually, I think that's a yearbook.
It looks like a yearbook, yeah.
Yeah, so it's probably my senior year. It was 1984. Dating myself a little bit there. Wow. Yes, I was a senior in high school in 1984.
Are you in San Diego?
I graduated from Vista High School.
Okay, so down there, right?
Yeah, Vista High School in 1984 wasn't even that old.
Yeah.
It was still.
You go there now, it's a different story.
Yeah, I think it was built in 1976.
Wow.
So school was only 8 years old when I was there.
And then who are these beautiful people?
Let's go left to right.
Okay.
On the left that's my most awesome son-in-law, Alberto Ceballos.
Okay.
He is definitely, when you're raising your daughters and you're praying for them to meet that man that's going to take care of them beyond anything you can possibly imagine, that's him.
Yeah.
I cannot ask for a better
that's
son-in-law.
huge.
Yeah. That's
great.
huge. In the middle there, between the littlest one, obviously, that's my first grandbaby, Sophia. I do have one more since that picture, Emmy. Actually, her birthday's this month.
Nice.
And then my oldest daughter, that's Sarah.
Okay.
She is from my first wife. And then next is Janelle. She's my youngest daughter.
Nice.
And then we have Melissa, my beautiful, wonderful, most awesome wife. And then the funny-looking dude, that's me.
Nice save there.
In the very back. And then the goofy kid, that's Robbie. He's my youngest son, and we have 3 kids altogether. But Robbie is a hoot. He has got one of the best sense of humors I think I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah,
definitely a hoot. Fun kid.
That's cool. And then let's go to your wedding day here. Isn't that beautiful? Oh, see, the whole audience just went, oh. You know, and there's something so beautiful about the husband-wife relationship, and I just adore watching you and Melissa work together on sites like what we did, but then also when you guys are at church, because at Crosspoint, Melissa is actually a part of the worship band and the voice of an angel, and so you're a very lucky man. You're very blessed.
Yeah, you only hear that voice when she's singing. Voice of an angel. I'm gonna let that just keep resonating when we're at home and she's not very happy. You know, it's just like, oh, yeah, that's the voice of an angel.
Yeah. Well, she's going to use this against you now. So, you know, she's going to see this. She'll be like, well, John thinks my voice is like that of an angel. What do you think?
Angel.
Yeah.
Sure, it's angelic.
You just got yourself in trouble. There you go. So what brought you up to the Temecula area? Because if you're kind of a San Diego guy for a while, was it Melissa that brought you up here, or was it?
No, actually, I moved to the Temecula area in 1995.
Okay.
Still a pretty small town. And ironically, when I got into this industry from that gentleman who asked me if I wanted to be a sheet metal worker, basically offered me a job, the first place I ever worked was here in Temecula.
Wow.
Yeah, and ironically, where my small group location is at, that's the first neighborhood that I ever worked in. So I knew of Temecula, but I remember asking myself, who is ever going to live up here in this area?
Apparently everybody now. So
Yeah, absolutely everybody. But what brought me up here is a good friend of mine. He had purchased a house in Murrieta. And I had went to work for this company in 1993, who had me traveling everywhere. I unfortunately was going through my first divorce, or my only divorce, and I was working with this company that had me traveling Northern California, Arizona, Nevada, just everywhere. I mean, they had me go as far away as Guam.
Jeez.
Well, and I kind of, I guess, think this goes back to they trusted me. They realized I would go there and do the work for them and put in my 40 hours of work for 40 hours pay, above and beyond. But they could also trust me with handling their funds and the money and everything while I was over there, because it was in a whole, well, not another country, but almost another country. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when I was traveling, my buddy who bought this house, he decided to move to San Diego because he became part of the Border Patrol. And so he moved to San Diego. He bought another house down there. So this one was just sitting empty. And because I traveled so much and was only home like every other weekend, he says, hey, if you want, you can rent my house from me. And he rented it to me for a song. And, so that way you can kind of keep an eye out when you come home, and you got a place to put yourself and a place to go to when you come home.
That's great.
So that's what basically moved to Murrieta. And I've been here pretty much ever since. I had a little stint in Fallbrook, love Fallbrook, beautiful area. But Murrieta, Temecula just basically became my home because I actually really kind of just fell in love with the area. It's really kind of a cool place that I thought nobody would ever live in.
Well, it's funny because a lot of my wife has grown up here since basically her whole life, and And she shares a lot of those similar stories where it used to be Rancho California, and then it turned into Temecula, and there used to be like one stoplight or one stop sign or something like that, but very podunk kind of town.
2 gas stations, that was it.
That was it, right? Yeah. And now you see everybody from San Diego, Orange County. We got the Temecula wine country, but everybody's just flooding in because for $400,000 to $500,000, you get a nice, beautiful house. Whereas $400,000 to $500,000 in San Diego or Orange County gets you kind of the a condo or whatnot. Yeah. And I remember, when we were looking for houses for you guys, you wanted to be in South Temecula, and so it was at a certain price point. And as soon as we crossed over that county line into San Diego, it shot up 50 to 100 grand.
Oh yeah, easy.
And the house has got 20 to 30 years older. It's
and smaller.
And smaller. But I remember that one house that we I think it was in Fallbrook, and that was a really unique house. I'm not sure if you remember that one. There was the layout was just, I remember you and Melissa were just going off on it. It was like Heller Road or Keller Road or something like that.
Heller Bend, yes.
Heller Bend, that's what it was.
Yes, with the shower tub that was sunken in the master bedroom below ground, but yet it had a window in the shower tub area. It was like, okay, this is kind of awkward, but the house was cool.
Houses from the 70s were very unique. Yeah. And my philosophy, or my belief is that they were so unique because, a lot of those designers were dropping acid in the 60s and 70s.
Yeah,
so.
No, I'm with you.
They're like, let's put a window here.
Yeah.
It makes no sense, but let's do it.
Everybody needs to see us showering in a sunken shower.
They just don't make them like they used to, as they say.
No, they don't.
Now I call them monopoly houses. They're all, just pretty standard, straightforward, something that they could throw up in, 3 weeks or whatever it is. So
it's crazy. Yeah. I take you back on another little job that I was on in Carlsbad, and I'm trying to remember. It was one of the senior communities. Drawing a blank on what it was called, but I can remember they were actually trying to turn one house per day.
Wow,
that was their goal: a house per day. So they would get it to a certain point.
That's scary.
And they would frame it, and then once it was framed, they had to turn it over. A day. They actually had on-site inspectors that were there, and they were working almost 24/7.
Good Lord.
Yeah, it was crazy.
See, that kind of makes me nervous, though. And am I wrong, or it's like when you're doing things that quickly, maybe sometimes haste makes waste kind of thing? Like, isn't it kind of good?
I would tend to agree, but I can remember myself, and I try to always, pride myself on doing quality work. Sure. When I was working on those houses, myself, I could install 4 houses in a day.
Wow.
And that was basically 8.5 hour day. But they weren't that big, and they were pretty simple. The rules were a little less strict.
A little loose then?
Yeah, a little more loosey-goosey. Yeah. But I could actually get 4 of them done in a day, on my own.
Wow.
So, yeah.
What, with the HVAC kind of stuff?
Yeah, put a furnace in, run the ductwork, and get ready to go. That'd be my part for that day. Mm-hmm. You understand, though, these have already been in some sort of a sequence. Okay. You know what I mean? So if everybody's doing their part, the actual one house wouldn't be built in a day. It'd be, they would get this part done, and the next house would be this level, this level, this level. So then when it comes to time where they're turning over houses, they'd have to complete. They'd be turning over one a day. They would probably be built in less than a month, but if you take an average out the amount of houses they were doing, they would probably get almost 30 houses in a month.
Wow.
But they'd be like in the rears by a month.
So that's efficient then. I thought you meant they actually from dirt to top.
No.
And I was wow, that's fast.
No. I guess that could be taken that way. I apologize. That was a little bit misleading, I guess, so to speak. But it'd be like their little steps that they would go through. Yeah. And so, like I said, they'd be like 30 days in the rears, and then in this next 30 days, they're finishing one a day.
Wow. That's impressive.
Yep.
Yeah. So do you want to get into that? I know HVAC is kind of the bread and butter and stuff like that, but would you want to build something from the ground up if it was like maybe a custom kind of spec house kind of stuff?
Oh my gosh, that'd be awesome. It'd be kind of a dream. And honestly, I've always said I'd like to build 3 houses for myself. Mm-hmm. My first house I would build and probably love it and dig it and realize, well, I forgot a lot of stuff. I didn't put in quite everything I really wanted, or I should have done this or should have done that. And then I would build my second house after I'd either rented that or sold that one. And I'd go through that process again, and it would be, oh man, I almost hit the nail on the head on this. Right. I'm so close. Honey, I need more of your input here. And then the third one would be the one that I would be able to retire and die because that would be it. Third time's a charm. to build spec homes and sell them, oh my gosh, that would be cool too. Ironically, there's a couple of lots I've looked at going like, oh, I wonder if I could get an investor to help me, put a house here.
Yeah.
Because I think it would be fun. I think it'd be exciting.
Yeah.
So yeah, that would be something I'd like to actually do.
You certainly have the skill set to do it, so I hope that that does come true for you very soon.
Yeah, it would be fun, and I like to think I have the skill set. I know it takes a lot more than what you really see goes into doing these, especially the behind the scenes and dealing with the politics and the stuff like that goes on with construction.
I bet.
You have people who want to get. They want to go before the other person. They want to go out of sequence. They me first, and it's just really crazy. Sometimes when you see it, and then when you get the government or the city involved, and it can get really political pretty fast.
Yeah, it sounds like a whole bunch of headaches. I'll let you deal with all that.
Okay.
You just tell me when it's time to put the sign in the yard, and I'll work my real estate magic, and I'll get it sold. How
There
about
you
that?
go. Sounds
That's
great.
what I do. And speaking of real estate sales, so you are on the path, you and Melissa, of getting your real estate license. Is that right?
Yep. We are.
How's that working out for you? How's the how's the book studies?
Actually, pretty good. Yeah. I can't really say we're setting the world on fire. I've been a little busier with Shield Mechanical, which is good. So I was always wanting to do work with Shield because that's ultimately going to be the bread and butter, I think, no matter what, for us. But the idea with tying in the real estate is to be able to, help clients if I sell a house. If they decided that they wanted a 4-bedroom and it's only a 3-bedroom, but we can take part of this and say, hey, that's a beautiful house. I know you love it. I can put a bedroom in there for you. But as far as how it's coming along, we have one more final exam. We've both passed the practices and the principles portion, and it's just the legal part that we're studying, and we're hoping before the end of this weekend to have that final exam done.
Good job, man.
Yep, and then we're on our way to...
So did you do the online courses?
We're doing online courses, yes.
Yeah, I did that. And so I think you could get it done in about 6 weeks, and I took it in about 18 months. And then I took the state exam, and it took me 2 or 3 times to get it done, but I ended up doing that weekend review and then ended up passing it, and never looked back since. So it's one of the best decisions I've ever made. So I think it's going to be great for you guys, especially with just your skill set as a husband and wife duo and team.
Right.
It's going to be pretty phenomenal to see what you guys can knock out in a couple of years here. So.
Well, with Melissa and her decorating skills, she can decorate, she can see. And it's so funny, too, because she's all excited because I actually made her officially part of Shield Mechanical so that she can go in and decorate and do whatever. And if she wants to move a wall, now that she under my umbrella, has a general contractor's license.
Very cool.
But she's loving that. And it's so funny, too, because if you've seen where we walk into a house, honey, we're going to move this, we're going to move this. And basically when she says we, she means me, know?
Yeah.
You're going to move this while you're going to move this. Can that be done,
Yep.
But it's just fun to watch her brain twirl sometimes and see what...
I remember the last house we looked at was needing a whole lot of work. But I've learned with you guys that I'm there to open the door, and you guys are going to go through it for about 30 minutes, and you're going to completely redesign every part of the house. And so I can't wait to see when one of these happens, because the way that you guys paint it is phenomenal. So it's going to be cool to watch you guys. I could definitely see you guys getting into the flipping game for sure.
Boy, I tell you, that last one too, you're right. It needed a ton of work.
That thing was nasty.
It was probably the nastiest house I've ever seen in my life.
It was gross.
But honestly, I'm very, very, very bummed that one didn't work out for us, because that would, I think, would have been the most fun, and just see the turnaround and what you would have seen. I definitely would have to have done a lot of video, pictures of before and after,
Document
and
it,
that's would have been something that definitely went on YouTube, because that thing, as you know, was disgusting.
Yeah, it literally looked like a pack of dogs lived in there and then would just urine all over the flooring and stuff. It was disgusting. Like you literally felt like you needed a shower when you left.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
It was one of those.
100%.
Yeah, I should have made a flush this foreclosure video. One of my classics there. That definitely would have qualified.
Yes, sir.
Man. Well, Mr. Rob Gutierrez, I see nothing but amazing good things happening in your future, and I'm just grateful that you're a part of my community, a part of my life, a part of my clients' lives. And again, I'm just grateful to have somebody that I can trust and put you in those situations and know that it's going to be handled correctly. And you are a godsend, sir. So thank you very much.
Thank you, and I appreciate you very much.
Thank you. I make it fun. I try to bring smiles to your face.
Yeah. Oh, you do. You do. I've seen quite a few of your videos on YouTube. So yeah, kind of helps bring out the inner child in me sometimes.
That's right.
Yep.
I like to have fun and get the job done. I think so many people get into situations where they're just focused on the goal, and that's great. I'm very goal oriented as well. But if you got to laugh while you're doing it.
Absolutely.
Life's about having fun.
Absolutely. And I think that's a little why I like working for myself too, because construction has gotten so political.
Yeah.
And just so many rules, and I can remember laughing a lot more going to work when I was working with other companies, and then rule after rule after rule. And most of them, are for the good. Some of them are over the top, but it's just it just doesn't make as much fun to go to a construction site anymore.
Well, I hope when you are in it to win it that you will bring the smiles and the joy, as I know you will, because you are the shield, and I'm covered by the shield.
You're definitely covered by the shield.
Right on.
So that's definitely something everybody needs to remember. It doesn't matter what it is. You call me out, and we'll get you taken care of because you're definitely covered by the shield.
Yep. And if you're afraid of contractors and their high, crazy prices, Rob wants to earn money for his family and stuff like that, but you hear these horror stories of contractors, and I've never had that experience with you. So thank you so much for taking care of everybody.
You're very welcome. Like you said, I am a for-profit company.
Yeah.
So I definitely am there.
Not always a charitable case. Yeah.
So, but I am definitely not there to upsell, gouge. Like I said, I'm transparent as possible. But yeah.
Right on.
Integrity. That's how I try to live.
Well, and there you have it, folks. Mr. Rob Gutierrez with Shield Mechanical. So if you are in need of his services, make sure you give him a call because he is the man. And that's it for this episode of the Red Tie Community. I'm John Butler, the ball guy in the red tie, saying see you in escrow. Bye.